Hi, everybody, and welcome. Appreciate you guys joining to learn a little bit more about SafetyHQ today. Thank you very much. I know it's busy as we're kind of getting close to wrapping up the year here, especially kind of during the middle of the day. So we will try and keep this 2.5 hour mark, kind of as promised here. But we can, if we got some time, we'll certainly get to some questions at the end. However, if we don't have the time to get to your individual question, or if you have a question that's maybe really specific to your business or kind of how you guys operate, don't hesitate to reach out. My name's Eric Vittardi. I can be reached at EDV Echo Delta Victor at foundationsoft.com or through our 800 number, 800-246-0800. Ask about SafetyHQ or ask for Eric, and we would be happy to help you. So without much further ado, we will just jump right into SafetyHQ. So, assuming you guys can see my screen, which is like the question of the last 3 years, can you see my screen? Can you hear me, right? But if you can see this screen here, I'm on my laptop today. That's the easiest way to share for today's presentation and how I do my demos as a whole. But SafetyHQ is what's called a progressive web app. So we can use SafetyHQ on our iPhone, our Android, tablet, whatever we might be using. And then if we get onto a laptop experience like this, you'll see what it looks like. This will look very similar on our mobile experiences. The difference being is kind of this blank space, this light green, grayish space on the left, right, and bottom. This will go away. So you'll see a very similar experience to what you guys will get on the mobile experience. I think it actually looks a little bit better in mobile. You can do things like the photo is directly out of the the photos that we'll take today and show come directly out of the iPhone and go right to your camera or Samsung or whatever you're using. So that's a quick housekeeping piece for you. Another housekeeping item, or at least a few housekeeping items we got going on as well. Because this is a progressive web app, this does mean we can use this in offline mode. This will automatically sync back up when you're, if you're in an area that has limited cell service or issues connecting to Wi-Fi or internet. Or cell for that matter, automatically syncing up when you get back in. Why am I showing this screen? You'll probably rarely, if ever, be in this screen. Well, that's because it's really hard to demonstrate offline mode. So I'm just kind of showing you the settings. This is kind of like a once set it and forget it for what you kind of want to cache and things like that. So from there, we're going to the dashboard here. This is kind of our new toolbox talk area, new safety alerts, corrective actions, any kind of alerts that we might get in the system. This is a really good place for most people to start their day. Now, these inbox notifications, as well as email notifications and other notifications that we send out of the system throughout the software, are going to be driven from all of these types of items that we have throughout here, whether that be our forms, our corrective actions, our toolbox talks, you name it. And we can jump right in there and actually take a look and see how these work. So toolbox talk seems like a good place to start. These toolbox talks, we have about 150 just shy of in English and Spanish. These are an easy area for you to add in additional toolbox talks if you'd like as well. You can just use this add new button. All of the toolbox talks that we have in here are regularly updated to conform to OSHA guidelines. But you know what, if you want something a little bit more specific to what you guys do, or maybe some company specific toolbox talks and so forth, you can certainly add those in addition to what we have in here. Or if you don't like ours, you can get rid of those entirely. It's up to you. But let's go ahead. Let's start with the toolbox talk as a whole here. So I'll go ahead and select, let's just pick the top one, but we can use this universal search if we'd like. This backing vehicles one, giving us some details in here, showing us identifying controls, going through the process here. This is a longer one, but there's a couple of ways to do this. I often get asked, we do our toolbox talks, we send them out to every employee individually. That's fine. We can certainly do that, not an issue. We want all of our foremen or our safety leads to select what topic they're going to discuss on a weekly or daily basis themselves. Sure, not a problem. We can do that. What I see most often, and what I'll demonstrate here today, is we have a foreman leading these discussions for the team at whatever job site or project site that they're at, and presenting that information to a smaller group from there. So what we have is, once we've selected, I'll go back for 1 second. We selected that backing vehicles toolbox talk. we can go ahead and send that toolbox talk out to whomever we need, right? These are roles that we have in the system. We can customize these as needed, but I'll go ahead and say, hey, you know what? I want all my foremen to either get this toolbox talk immediately, or as most people do, they'll go ahead and schedule us in advance and say, hey, you know what? On Monday, the 19th, I want the team discussing, backing vehicles on this date. Maybe you want to do this well in advance, not a problem either. We have a lot of options, so it's easy for us to schedule multiple toolbox talks. You can schedule out every week for the rest of the year, for the whole year, in advance. If you want to do 2 or 3 years, that's really up to you, but we got a lot of options there. So that's one way of doing this. I'll go ahead and submit that as a whole. I submit that toolbox talk. I'll get that notification here next Monday, but in the meantime, if we want to go ahead and review a toolbox talk, let's go back to the top here. We've selected this item. Once they select the notification or click on the notification that they've been assigned a toolbox talk, it'll drop them right on this screen. Now, this would be the same as if somebody wanted to just select their own toolbox talk. You can select that item right here to conduct it, or again, if you want to go ahead and share something else, you can do that also. This is also a great time to indicate this translate button. So you'll see this throughout the software. This is to translate from English to Spanish, Spanish to English, depending on the language preference of those attending. We also have the ability to set that language preference at the employee level. So if you have somebody who's predominantly English speaking or Spanish speaking, you would set it to their preferred language as the user is set up. And we would really only use this icon if we're, kind of communicating across a language barrier on a site or wherever that may be. But let's go ahead. Let's do this toolbox talk, see how it looks. I've been assigned this right where it's at. Big yellow button, can't miss it. I'll go ahead and select my project. Nice benefit for those of you that are foundation software clients, these projects, as well as your employees, will be coming directly out of your foundation database. So that'll update your database in here, save you all the dual entry, save you all that time and effort. We'll have a lot of items tied to the project, and we'll kind of show you as we go forward how we can manage items by project. But that's a really nice piece to keep both of your databases in sync. So I've selected my project. I hit next. Obviously, I go through the toolbox talk and discuss with the team, collect my signature, and then I collect the signature of the attendees on the talk. Really easy to add additional employees or attendees. I'll pick a couple of these folks here. And rather than trying to figure out what what this scribble might say, this is tied to the employee record. So that way, if, for reference and for record keeping going back, if we need to see who was on the toolbox talk, you avoid that big step of, trying to decipher what some of this may be. So I'll go ahead, that's done, that's completed. Great, toolbox talk went well with the team. I hit submit. And then from there, we have a number of options as far as reviewing this. Sorry, I got this behind here, so I gotta move a couple things. We have a number of options as far as reviewing completed items. If we want to go ahead and see how this, a particular toolbox talk, who was on it, who was in, whatever, we can go in here and collect what I call this quick view. We can also take photos. I didn't mention that during the process. I know some people really don't want to give up that paper sign-in sheet for the toolbox talk, or maybe they want to take a photo of the attendee group or something. You can certainly do some items like that also. But that's the quick view. That's the quick view to see who was on this particular toolbox talk. If we need to say, I know a lot of our clients and customers, they need to provide these toolbox talks or evidence of these toolbox talks to their customer. If I want to pick this, I can go ahead and pick my project. I can filter by this, and this is something to keep in mind. We can do this going forward, right? So all of the items that I'll show you in the form section, you can sort and filter by project, by who submitted it, by time, date. You can tie these together as well. So you could use a filter for all of these to really get down to some specifics if you'd like. But I'll go ahead and say everything that's on that bridge project. I can select one, multiple. I can download and PDF those right there, share them off with whoever might need them. If I need to just download, email them off to the customer, I can. And additionally, you have the ability to report on this as a group, right? So if I'm in here and I want to see how the team's been doing, I have some really easy options, and that's kind of what we'll go over next. Getting the toolbox talks out to the team is one, especially if you're doing it on paper right now, maybe you're handing them out with the paychecks or what have you. That's fine. Maybe you get them out there, but getting them back, I know is quite a challenge, if not maybe more of a challenge than getting the information to the team. Not to mention you don't know necessarily if these have even been completed. So what we have as an option here is not only can you check on individual records and see what's been completed, but we have the option here to go ahead and manage. I'm going to move this. Got this webinar piece over here. I got to get out of my corner. We can go ahead, set up a rule for the team, and go ahead and say, for an administrator perspective, we want an administrator doing this once per week. You can set it up, say, foremen are doing these 4 per month. You can set it up kind of however you need. Whatever rule you want per form, per role, you can each have a different rule. So in this case, let's go ahead and, I don't know, I'll pick the last 4 weeks. I got a lot of test data in here. So these folks aren't necessarily, they're not doing what we want them to be doing in here. But at the end here, I'm in this database pretty frequently. So you can go ahead and see, hey, here's all of the toolbox talks and individuals completed. Here's all the ones this individual has completed. Perfect. I can see them, what they've done in here. I can see if they've met the requirement or if they've not. I can select individuals that have not met the requirement or any individual that has not met the requirement, and I can notify them directly out of here. So saving you a lot of time and management or time and effort on the management side of this. You can just go ahead, select all of these employees that haven't met the requirement, or maybe sometimes people like to remind them again earlier in the week. You can certainly do that, and then you can send the notification directly out of here. You also have some other options too. If you want to include one or multiple managers, maybe they need a little bit more of a nudge, you can do that. And then we have some options too for those folks that, I see this typically with folks doing an incentive plan for a safety program. You can go ahead and, review how frequently they've submitted it and go through the process like this on an individual basis as well. So now I show you guys this reporting functionality. This is the toolbox talk area. We can use this for everything, and I'll show you guys maybe an example of a JHA or some other items as we go. But you can have a different rule as you go. So that toolbox talk we have weekly. For the JHAs, we want our foreman to do those every day. So we have all these options, as we go to different forums to check and review how the team's been doing and what rules we might have for their participation in those safety activities. But that's toolbox talks. We'll kind of move on to the forms piece since I've already kind of given you a highlight of the reporting options, or at least some of the reporting options that we have here. These forms are fully customizable, right? So I know a lot of folks say customizable, then you get in there and it's not quite as customizable as you'd like. Our team is going to, be there every step of the way to build and customize these for you if you need. We realize that comes up, pretty frequently, right? If somebody's got a specific JHA format that you need to submit in, that's really kind of non-negotiable sometimes from GCs or from owners or customers, what have you. Send us that form, we'll get it built for you, and we'll be ready to roll. So just keep that in mind. I'll show you some templates here today. Maybe you kind of like how this looks, but you want to add a question, remove a question, reword something, whatever. That's not a problem for us whatsoever, and that's included in your monthly subscription cost. So not a concern whatsoever, depending on however you're set up. As we have this as a whole too, so let's go ahead, maybe we'll start from a JHA perspective. You'll notice we really try and focus on ease of use. So whatever the team's doing, we keep this as familiar as we can, right? So just like those toolbox talks, we're gonna hit the big yellow button. I'm gonna select my project. It is not fun here in Cleveland, Ohio today. So I'll pick a couple of these items. Great. You can change that if you guys aren't doing these daily or what have you too. But some other options, I'll go ahead and select my tasks. Again, don't get worked up if these tasks or the hazard types that you have don't meet what you guys have. Again, fully customizable. We have some options here. I'll go ahead and select maybe access. I'll just pick a couple of these just for an example. But as you'll notice, the hazard types that I select will limit the actual hazards that we're going to review here down below. And then on the next page, the controls that this is going to show me are specific to what I just selected on the last page. So this is key, right? I know unfortunately safety isn't everyone's top priority on the job site. What we really want to get them doing is focusing on those actual safety forms for a reason. If they're spending most of the time scratching out controls, or they have to spend a bunch of time writing, it's a real pain in the butt, and they're not necessarily going to pay attention to those items. They're just going to be pencil whipping it so that they get through it. That's the nice part about this, is we're really shrinking down this form to save them time, save them effort, and keep them focused on those safety tasks, and hopefully keep that team a little bit safer on the site. So again, these controls specific to what I selected on the last page. I go to my next page here. We have the ability, this is, I mentioned too, is kind of one of the drawbacks from doing it on the laptop. If you're on your iPhone or Android or whatever, this will take you right to your camera. I'm just going to go ahead and select, I'm going to go ahead and select a stock photo here just to use as an example. Once I get in here and take that photo, I can mark that up. Really easy for me to do that. I don't know what we want to do here. Do this somewhat similar for those of you guys that have been on demos before. I apologize. I don't know. This actually looks fairly safe, but maybe you guys have a better eye than me of some hazards that we might want to be aware of. But either way, we can indicate certain items on here. I don't know. We can kind of draw whatever we might need. Really easy if you're doing like a daily log, not necessarily a JHA or what have you. These photos can be added to all of our forms. So maybe this is your daily review, maybe this is your JHA, maybe this is your site inspection or corrective action. Not a problem. These features that we have can be used on any of our forms. Similar to our toolbox talks, we can go ahead and collect signatures from the team. I'll go ahead and say, Patrick's been present on that one. Once I hit this submit button, this is going to look a lot like that toolbox talk review area that we just discussed. So if I want to go ahead and review those items, I can do this really quickly by just jumping into that form initially. This is the one that I just created. Now this doesn't look the best per se. This is a quick view. But if I wanted to PDF this is that area I showed you, your name and logo up in the top left here. So this is customized to you. And it's got all of our information on a more professional looking document that you can share with whomever. I did it directly from there, but if you want to do multiple at a time, easy for us to do this in a group as well. So again, just like those toolbox talks, we have the ability to sort and filter. So if we need to do this by project, by who submitted it, by a date range, or a combination of those, we certainly can. In the interest of time, I know it's tough to get through all of these today. Maybe I'll show you a quick two. From a job site safety evaluation, this is more of like a site audit. I'll go ahead and we'll pick up a different job this time. I'll go ahead and hit next. I've selected my project again, coming out of Foundation database. We can break this into different sections. This one's pretty general, so we'll start from here. We got, I'm doing my site walk. Things look good. Maybe I notice that there's an issue on the site. What do we want the issue to be? We'll go ahead and say, that first aid kit is not on the site. I use that as an example pretty frequently, but you'll see here we have that photo option, general comments, all these items that we've seen already as well. But let's go ahead. I'm doing my site audit, and I realize that we don't have a first aid kit, or what, even better, we don't have a poster on the site. Right here, while I'm doing my inspection, I can add that corrective action. It can suggest to me what that deficiency is and suggest to me how we're going to correct that. So if I wanted to, I can go ahead and assign it a severity. I can assign this to an employee. I'll assign this to Steve, and I'll make sure, Patrick's gonna make sure this gets done. Similar to that JHA, we can add a photo, mark that up here. And then we can also assign this and say, hey, this needs to be up today, or maybe before we start the job tomorrow, this needs to be on the site. So I can go ahead, I can submit that. Notification's going to go off to Steve and Patrick, letting them know that we have a corrective action that's been identified, or a deficiency that's been identified. And then I can continue on with my inspection. That notification is going to go to them, but it's not necessarily slowing me down from the task at hand of identifying these hazards as a whole. You'll see also here too, there's some really cool features as far as like if I select yes, now I want to ask some more questions. So we have that flexibility from the question perspective as far as we don't want to ask them everything all at once. Depending on their answers, we may want to ask them additional questions. Again, keeping that form nice and simple for them and keeping them working efficiently. So I'll save you guys, the process of going through that whole example. We can grade these. We can, put in certain values on the questions and, do gradings. So I know a number of you folks might want to grade these as they come in. These can be done automatically based on their responses, what they've done, all that kind of stuff. And obviously in the form, we can choose like what's required, what kind of questions we want to ask, all those. Similar to the JHA, sort, filter, PDF, share, email, all those kinds of things. But the cool thing is that corrective action that I just mentioned, if I were to submit that corrective action for a poster not submitted, this is a previous one, but I can have them all right here. If I want to look at this from a reporting view, I can say, hey, what's assigned, what's out there, what have we not corrected yet, what do we need to make sure we jump on top of? Again, you can tie all of these pieces together to get the reporting that you need, which many programs out there don't have for you to go ahead and review. And you also have some automatic reporting in here as well to show you, how are we doing as a whole? I can go ahead and select this. Let's see some leading indicators that we've had. I just pulled this up for the whole year, so a lot of data in here that it's aggregating. I can see, we've had a lot of, fire-related deficiencies lately. Maybe we want to talk to the team about, being safe from a fire protection standpoint. You have all those options, and again, you can break even this automated reporting down by everything you might need on the right-hand side here too. So that's kind of a quick taste of the corrective actions. I showed you that corrective action being on the job site evaluation. But we can add those on anything, right? If there's an accident and you want to, somebody gets in a vehicle accident, we want somebody to go ahead and, I don't know, go to a defensive driving class or whatever corrective action you might need, or maybe that, the car needs to be inspected or something afterwards, or the truck. We can add those corrective actions on any forms as well as any of those elements that I've shown you thus far. Speaking of options and things that we can do on these forms, whether it be a vehicle or an equipment inspection, again, this is going to look pretty similar. I won't go through this whole form, but you can kind of see some of the options. This looks similar to the one that we had before. Again, this equipment will come out of your foundation database. It's not quite there yet. That'll be, I think, a couple of months out. I think February is what they're expecting right now. Maybe January, hard to say. But that'll be coming shortly. It'll pull your equipment out of foundation. You can go through your, maybe it's a pre-trip inspection. And if one of these items is marked as unsafe, we can send this is just an example of it, but we can send off an automatic notification to the team. Maybe it's somebody in the garage, safety manager, whomever. We have the ability to do some of those automatic notifications so that your team doesn't have to worry about routing, particular causes or issues that might be of concern. So again, I select that, notification goes out as soon as I submit my my vehicle or equipment inspection from there. Again, I can't stress enough, all of these forms work very similarly. We can report on them the same, we can sort and filter them the same. So the team should be pretty comfortable, operating through here. Now, since I mentioned that equipment piece, I'm going to go ahead and sneak down here as a whole. There's a lot of things we can do from an equipment perspective. You can see, inspection logs. You can go ahead and see managed by inspection date, what's overdue, what's completed, your tags by different inspection intervals. We can go ahead and tie particular pieces of equipment together. So this is kind of like the maintenance record for that piece of equipment. We can put in photos of what it looks like initially. We can tie these pieces of equipment together, say, hey, if I complete this inspection on this Ford F-150, make sure that we also inspect this aerial lift. We can tie this to a project. We can tie this to an employee. So if I want to go at the project level, amongst many things that we can do at the project level, we can go ahead and see what equipment's on that, what kind of shape it's in, a quick status update to show us. We can also do that at the employee level. It'll look very similar as well. Now, since we're in this project, worth mentioning, you can get kind of a top-down view of all the items we have. You can include important information on the site. You can include documents. I have here an operator's manual for a piece of equipment for a scissor lift here. If I need to go ahead and put other documents, a safe entry plan or other PDFs or items that we might need in here, we can do that. We can include that right on the project, make it accessible for the team. And additionally, I'll click this. We also have a full document library section, right? So if you guys you want to put your safety manual, or you want to put, any specific documents, maybe, some people put new hire, paperwork that they need to fill out. Hey, go to this section as soon as you've been hired, and here's the government I-9 and, W-4, all these types of things. This repository can be used pretty much however you need. We can build this library out however you need. Typical question that I get is, hey, what about document storage fees and things like that? There's no additional fees. Document storage, not an issue. The way we're structured, all of those fees are included in your monthly, so you don't have to worry about document storage. You don't have to worry about any of those types of items. Now, you might be also asking yourself, hey, this is great. I want to put my safety manual in here so my whole team can review this, but I maybe don't want them to go ahead and see things like incident reports, which we'll check on in a little bit. Can people have different permissions and accesses? The answer is absolutely. We can limit the access by role, by a number of things to let certain individuals go ahead and review. We want everyone to see documents, but we only want supervisors to see the initial or the incident reports, or to see certain projects or things like that. Plenty of items in there, and again, you're not being charged an additional fee for like an administrative license, or just a typical user license. That's included as well. Nice piece too, since we're kind of talking licensing, if you add or remove users, that's not an issue. You don't have to worry about calling us. That's a real big pain in the butt. This is a safety program. It's supposed to make your life easier. If you got to call us every time you hire somebody new and you want to get them in here, that doesn't really make your life easier. So we price it based on your company, rough average head count, get an estimate from there, but we'll, from what we expect your usage to be and things like that, and you're good to go. You can add and remove, you can go through your typical seasonality if you're one of those businesses, and you won't have to worry about reviewing the licensing from a safety perspective. So continuing to work our way down here, we can go ahead and put things like SDSs in here. We have an extensive library in here. You can go ahead and review SDSs on the spot. I want to pull up this Vanti. Yep, we got this one right here. We can go ahead and see it if we need. Things like QR code, not a problem. Now, because we have an extensive library, there's hundreds of thousands in here. You don't have to worry about uploading them. They should be in here. You can go ahead and review and use our really powerful safe search to go in and say, hey, you know what? I've used this keyword. I can go ahead and pull up a particular item. I can search by, maybe I want to do by product code. Maybe I want to do by manufacturer. I can do any of those types of things, and even pair those together to find what I need throughout here. You can also pare it down if this is too much. If you're saying we're never going to use some of these manufacturers, we can remove some of those at the device level as well. So you might be asking, well, we work with some really specific chemicals or what have you. Not a problem. You just reach out to us if we don't have it in here. We will reach out to that manufacturer, grab that safety data sheet, and include it in here. We'll source it from their site, pull it in. It's part of the library. You can then use it and review it from there. Moving on here, kind of up against it. I'm kind of up at the half-hour mark. I apologize. I will be quick on this last stretch here. But this training and certifications area is really valuable, so it's definitely worth showing to the team here. If you guys want to do something like a new hire orientation, you can build out a whole lesson in here with photos, videos. We can link out to certain areas, like I mentioned, those documents in that document storage area before. We can do that. We can go ahead and create, actual trainings, like maybe this is a hazard communication. Review that, review some of the videos, whatever. Assign this to the team, just like we did with the toolbox talks. And then we can also get into, creating quizzes for the team as well. So if you want to make sure they're actually paying attention, or in some cases, some people just use this as a checklist, you know, like sometimes for new hires or what have you. You can go ahead and review that. You can determine what is passing criteria for those quizzes. And then once they've completed that quiz, or lesson, I should say, that will take it right into this certification area where it can be tracked and monitored. So here's my hazard communication as a whole. I can see the date it's been completed, when it's going to expire. I can also manage certifications from outside, right? So obviously that's great if we're doing internal trainings, but maybe I send 10 people to a forklift training. I can send them, add them in a bulk group if I wanted to. I can add them individually. You're not limited to whatever types of certifications that we can track in here. So if there's a specific type of training that you want to manage, we can create a custom one. We can also, say, what's going to expire in the near future, so we can stay on top of that training as a whole to make sure our team is certified and up to date on all their certifications and items they need to be working on the site. Some other cool features from the certification side, I use my search here. I can include a photo of a certification card. Now, obviously, for like an OSHA 10 or an OSHA 30, they're supposed to have these cards on their person. I think we all kind of know how those go sometimes. So it is nice having this as a backup. You can include multiple photos if you want to do their year to year. We can also get into some other cool details too. I'm just scratching the surface on here, but if I want to see maybe Bill's certifications individually, I select Bill. I can review all of his trainings here. I can select them, share them with a QR code, share them with an email. I can share them with a QR code, email, whatever. And then just like before, we put your name and logo up on the top here, and we could, present a training certificate for that employee as well. So I mentioned, the access to the teams before. This is a really good time where, we just want every employee to have their certifications accessible in case, they get stopped on the site and somebody wants to see their certification and make sure that they can handle, or that they can participate in whatever, activity they're doing. So we have those all in here. That's an easy way to sort and review from the certification side. And then finally, we have some options on the incident reporting as well. So while we can create custom incident reports, witness statements, things like that, we also have a really nice stock one in here. So if you want to go ahead, add new incident, we can. We can go ahead, let's take Dylan's incident as a whole here. I don't know what type of injury or incident he's had, but this first form is intended to be filled out by somebody on the site, whether this is a foreman, safety lead, project manager, whomever. Great. We have that all right in here. We can go ahead and fill out this information, near miss, injury, whatever. Add those photos like I mentioned previously, not an issue there. Once I have this all set up, or once I've collected this information, I go ahead and submit it. And once that form is submitted from the field, again, just like I kind of mentioned that we can do in the forms area, automatic notification sent off. Incident occurs, automatic notification goes to the HR team, maybe a safety director, maybe ownership, whoever needs to know about it, automatic notification sent off. You don't have to worry about the team, in an already stressful moment, routing information appropriately. That notification letting people know that an incident's occurred typically prompts this additional information incident report. This is, overnight hospital stays, file storage, anything like that for, the ongoing types of things that might be related to an incident that could drag on weeks, months after the incident occurs. Finally, after that one's completed, another notification, and then the team will be prompted to complete this root cause analysis. Worker non-competence, a great way to get a fine if you'd like. But yeah, you can go ahead, go through this whole process as a whole, collect all of this information. Let's go ahead and jump back out. I can, as before, review this as needed. If I need to get into any of these details, sort and filter by particular incidents, I still have that search bar. And then finally here, we have some more automated reporting. And again, we could break this down by project, by whatever we might need here. Yeah, I don't know, you can get into all the specifics over here. And then we have things like counts, all these items. You can export these right out of the system. And then this will populate your OSHA 300A, assuming you've been using it for all of your recordable incidents. It's not magic. It won't necessarily get some items that you don't record within SafetyHQ. but it'll save you some time and effort as far as aggregating that information for you prior to your reporting period. So there's quite a bit in here. You know, I know the usage might be a little bit different from trade to trade, maybe from GC to specialty trade to, you know, 20 employees, 5 employees to 2,000 employees. We have the whole lot. There is custom, you know, packages to fit all of those groups. So if you have some specific questions, certainly let me know. I see a couple of questions in the question box right now, but I know we're kind of coming up against it time-wise, and these look like some specific questions to their businesses as well. So we might skip those for the time being. But again, I would love to chat on this more. If you want to either do a demo with your team, if you want to maybe just ask some specific questions, I'd be happy to do that. My name is Eric Fitardi. I can be reached at edv@foundationsoft.com. That's Echo Delta Victor @foundationsoft.com. Or again, feel free to reach out to us through that 800 number, 800-246-0800. We got a lot of other means of communication, but just keep an eye out. Tell them that you're interested in SafetyHQ, and we would be happy to discuss. So let me know if you got any questions. I can hang around for another minute or so as these questions are coming in. Let's see here. Yeah, actually, you know what? It's telling me I'm coming up at the end of time. Can we add, oh, yeah, I got one question that I'll maybe answer here. Is it possible to attach video files in addition to photos? So it depends on the area in the software. There's areas in which we can certainly add videos, you know, whether that be the lessons or the toolbox talks. There's certain areas that we limit it to just photos because of the document and file size. So that would be a specific one. I'd want to probably hear more about your use case, and we can get into that one. But that's a really good question. We do have video and photo capability throughout the software. Just kind of depends on where you're looking to add it and so forth. So, but thanks so much, guys. I appreciate the time and effort. Feel free to reach out. We'd love to chat with you a little bit more on SafetyHQ. And you know, for the time being, I will talk to you guys later. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.